حي على الفلاح.
Happened around the 3rd century under a despotic king by the name of Decius. We Arabize it by saying Daqyanos. Apparently he was a Zoroastrian king, and he would subjugate and he would oppress the true Christian believers. And he did not want anyone in society to believe in God. He wanted people to believe in the false idols and the false gods that he had constructed. And so the entirety of society was one that obviously abided by what he had dictated. But there were a group of teenagers who were the son of noblemen in society, meaning that they came from wealth, they came from comfort, they had no worldly needs because their fathers and their families had sufficed them with all of what they needed. But in their heart of hearts, as teenagers, they rejected what this one king had called them towards. And they were certain in their belief in Allah. And so one day there was a big gathering, and a number of them, they were disparate, they weren't connected, they didn't know each other, but a number of these teenagers found themselves at the outskirts of the city, almost commiserating over what they believed in their heart, but they knew that they couldn't take this necessarily as individuals and present it to the king. It was something that they were still processing. But they found themselves together, collected, and all of them in consensus saying, what this king is calling to us and what society has become is so off mark. We have to commit ourselves to Allah. We have to commit ourselves to the true conviction, the true belief, and that is Allah is the creator of the heavens and the earth. And we will not call or follow or surrender to anyone beyond or besides Allah. They asserted this truth, they went, they proclaimed it, and what happened? They obviously found themselves in a position where their lives were threatened. They were forced to leave. They didn't leave out of weakness. They didn't leave out of insecurity. No, they left out of an objective sense of fear and worry that their lives were at stake. So they left. And as we all know, they slept. Allah put them to sleep for 309 years or 300 years, depending on the solar or the lunar calendar. And they awaken, and the people find them, and the story is said and done. And I'm gonna lay out the story with more detail, but I just wanted to give you a brief of the whole story. So let's focus on some of the key takeaways and key lessons that we can reflect on. Number one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, He says, listen to me now. Let me tell you about the story of a group of teenagers. Allah tells us about one of the most essential Quranic stories is a group of young people, a group of youth who committed themselves to Allah. See, young people today, when we talk about them, usually we talk about them in a negative sense. Young people are stubborn, young people are this, teenagers are rebellious, they're not listening, they're doing whatever they want, they're playing video games all day and all night, constantly have this negative narrative around teenagers. So why is it that Allah in the Quran would bring us one of the most essential Quranic stories and tell us, listen up, this is a story about a group of teenagers? Because He's telling us collectively as a society, there is something that is unique in young people. Isn't the story of Sayyidina Ibrahim a story of a young man, and also a teenager who believed, while the entire society, including his father, rejected? Because the young person is closer to the fitrah, closer to the primordial fitri state, which lends itself to a pursuit of truth that is more pure than the older person. Like Sayyidina Ibrahim, like these youth of the cave, who were able, in their proximity to the fitri state, to speak the truth and to believe in the truth. That's why you find teenagers rebellious. But there's a benefit to it actually. Because when young people wake up, when they decide to commit themselves to something virtuous, wallahi, the world will change. But what the story of the Ashab-e-Kahf, these young people of the cave, what it taught us is that young people have a resiliency that is profound. That they can stand up with the truth, regardless of what everyone is doing, and believe in Allah, the Creator. And we will not worship video games, we won't worship movies, we won't worship any type of impulse in society to say this is okay and that's okay and this is not okay, and do whatever you want and do what you choose and do what you please. No, I don't have to succumb to the pressures of what everyone is telling me to do. I do have the capacity to stand firm. I don't have to be bullied. I don't have to be pressured. I don't care if people laugh at me. They don't like my hijab. They don't like my beard. They don't like my kufi. They don't like my name. That doesn't faze me. We believe in you, Allah. What did Allah do for them? We increased them in guidance. You took that first step. You showed that you want to do what is right. You showed conviction. You showed that you're going to be proactive. What did Allah do for them? He increased them in guidance. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. See, what is the dua that they asked for? It's a very specific dua. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا مِن لَدُنْكَ رَحْمَةً وَهَيِّئْ لَنَا مِنْ أَمْرِنَا رَشَدًا. Ya Allah. Wallahi, this dua is beautiful to come from such young people, to come from teenagers. Pay attention to this dua. Ya Allah, I need your divine grace. I need your mercy. Here, I believe in you. I'm standing up for what's right. I'm telling these people, listen, I am not going to follow this way. But this is really hard, Allah. It's not easy to do this. So what I need from you is divine grace. I need mercy. But what's the next dua? رَبَّنَا آتِنَا مِن لَدُنْكَ رَحْمَةً وَهَيِّئْ لَنَا مِنْ أَمْرِنَا رَشَدًا. Ya Allah, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So direct me in a way that makes sure that my affairs are well guided. These are young people who basically are saying we have no options in front of us. We don't know what to do. هَيِّئْ لَنَا مِنْ أَمْرِنَا رَشَدًا Ya Allah. Ya Allah, you've accepted our dua for giving us this guidance. Now show us, help us to be surrounded by individuals and peoples who will really put us on the right path. I need righteous companionship. And that's one of the most essential elements of this story, is young men coming together fi sabilillah. We need strong relationships. We need connectedness. Because when we are connected, when I have my brother by my side, when I'm firm, when I know that they're going to advise me in truth, they're going to direct me towards the Quran and the Sunnah and the way of the scholars, then all that creates a strength and power. But if the people that I'm around lie or cheat or steal or do things that are inappropriate or have relationships or drink or smoke or whatever it is they do, then it is very plausible that what will happen to me is I will delve into that as well. But those 7 teenagers were brought together by the will of Allah, that when they committed themselves to Allah, Allah did things for them that are absolutely awe-inspiring. Allah tied their hearts. But what that metaphorically means is Allah oriented their hearts in a state of tranquility, serenity, confidence, certainty in their belief. So the first thing, وَرَبَطْنَا عَلَى قُلُوبِهِمْ. The second thing, ضَرَبْنَا عَلَى آذَانِهِمْ. Allah told them to go, they went to the cave, and then Allah says, ضَرَبْنَا عَلَى آذَانِهِمْ. We literally struck their ears. What does that mean? Very often people who don't know how to get into deep sleep, they put in earplugs, right? What does this earplug do? It drowns out all the noise. And it's a way for you to delve into deep sleep. Similarly, subhanAllah, the state that they were in, with all of the worry, the fear, the anxiety, whatever it was, Allah gave them the rabt of the qalb, which gave them internal serenity. But on top of that, Allah said, you know what? Sleep tight. Relax. I'm going to put you into a somber that nothing can wake you up. Why? Why did Allah do this for them? فِتْيَةٌ آمَنُوا بِرَبِّهِمْ وَزِدْنَاهُمْ هُدًى. What else did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do for them? So the sun is rising in the morning, Allah lets it veer right. And then when the sun is setting in the evening, Allah lends itself to the left. And they are sitting in the middle of the cave. Why? Because Allah wants them to receive all of the nourishment of the sun without experiencing the direct rays. This is Ar-Rahman at work. They don't even realize it with their senses. They never knew this was happening. But Allah was doing it for them. And by the way, the majority of the na'im that we experience in the dunya, the majority of it, we don't realize that Allah is doing it for us. We are ignorant of that. And on top of that, we are angry with Allah, although Allah is doing everything. Alhamdulillah wal fadlillah. And not just that, they're in the middle of the cave, we're taking care of the sunlight, they're getting all the necessary vitamin D so that their skin is nourished and their bodies are nourished. But also physiologically, they're not going to have any type of stagnation in the blood, no opportunities for clots. Why? Because we're going to shift them left and right. No opportunities for their muscles to atrophy because we're going to move their muscles for them. This is what they do in hospitals today. Allah does it for the youth of the cave. And then He says, when you come and you see them, if you look at them, you will flee from them out of fear. They are people who committed themselves to Allah. And there are a lot of forces out there that wanted to harm them and kill them. And so the reality became that as they were in their sleep, their dog is sitting with the four legs out. And they're sleeping but their eyes are open. When you see them, you're immediately intimidated and you flee from them and you will be filled with fear. Allah saying, no matter what you have going on in your life, if you surrender yourself to Allah, then Allah will alter the darkness of your own cave into a beautiful refuge full of light. For us, practically what that means is my qalb, my heart has to be a place of nur. Now of course, when they woke up after 309 years, they were no longer visibly teenagers, right? They were old and they had long nails and long hair, etc. But they awaken not fully aware of what's happening. But the first thing that they realize is what? We're hungry, right? It's normal. I mean, normal for a human being to wake up and say, you know what? I'm hungry, I need to eat something. Take these silver coins and go down to the marketplace quietly. But then there's one word that stopped me and forced me to reflect on something profound about these youth. Because they may have been visibly elderly, but the truth of the matter is they were still young teenagers. Regardless of what their external state looked like, they were asleep for those hundreds of years. And so, it is said from the leader of these youth, فَلْيَنْظُرْ, pay attention to this, فَلْيَنْظُرْ أَيُّهَا أَزْكَى طَعَامًا. And subhanAllah, I paused in front of this word azka. Why would these teenagers say, go out, get us food because we're hungry, and find us the best and most pure food? Now, put yourself in their position. These are young people who were fleeing from a tyrannical ruler who had a death warrant upon them because of their commitment to Allah. So they were in the cave having fled for their lives. Don't just find us food, find us pure, the best food. And so what you see amongst these youth, they had a keenness on consuming the tayyib, because they understood that as followers of Allah, as believers of Allah, everything they did in the dunya had to mirror that foundational belief in the existence of Allah. That I eat whatever I eat, I have whatever relations I want to have, I hang out however I want to hang out, I go to any place I want to go, I buy whatever it is I want to buy, I watch whatever it is I want to watch. That's not indicative of someone who's saying, Ya Allah, I want to be muhsin, I want to be excellent in your sight. And so it was really their theology that was widely awake. So even, yes, if we need to eat, and we are in this dire condition, we will only eat azka ta'ama. And then there are those who will say it was 7 and the 8th was their dog. Who is the one who knows? Allah knows.